I thought I'd jump on here and share some tips on how to start selling your art, and would like to share with you some things that helped me grow my business as an artist. The very first thing that I would recommend doing is start taking pictures. Whether you have a smartphone or if you have the means to have a more sophisticated camera setup, photography is incredibly important on your journey as an artist. You're gonna need great photography to leverage your work as an artist, whether you're applying to shows or you're creating a stronger presence online in order to sell your work, because that's what's speaking for your work. That's gonna be presenting your work to a greater audience. And when people look at your stuff, they wanna see your work presented in a way that they can see it for all that it is. And in order to do that, you're gonna need great photography of it. My next tip is to connect with your local community as much as possible, whether you're having outreach with programs or you're looking into doing local craft shows, street fairs, your local market, little shops. The more you're connected to your community, the more exposure you get, and it creates a stronger foundation that you can grow your network from. And so I highly recommend reaching out into your community, seeing what kind of events are happening, and just connect with other artists in your network. Something that has really helped is building a website, whether you are planning on selling online or just to showcase your work. People that want to see your work, they want to see your portfolio and works that you've done so that they can get the overall picture of what your mission statement is as an artist and what it is that you are trying to accomplish as an artist. A website also gives you the opportunity to create your artist statement, your mission statement. These are all really important things to think of when applying to shows in the future. Often when you are doing art shows and craft shows, they're gonna ask you a mission statement, an artist statement. And so it's incredibly helpful to have a website, to have all those things laid out, and it helps you see your work as a cohesive piece to then offer to people. And it gives people a place to find you, whether they want to message you or look into your events. It's a great access point for you as an artist to present your work to a larger network. If you clicked on this video, chances are you haven't necessarily started really putting much energy into a social media account. To sell your work, you don't necessarily need social media, but it's a place that will help you reach a greater, larger audience, and it gives people a place to find you later. So if you are doing shows and you're handing out business cards, it'll give people a place to come back and find you and kind of keep up on what you're doing, what your process is as an artist. Social media has been a great place where I've been able to build my network. I post on there regularly. It provides a space where people have access to your most current works, whether you're sharing your progress, gallery shots, things that you are selling or working on, and it gives them a hub to come back and find you later. It kind of shows you what people like and what they're interested in, and it'll show you what, and a lot of times you'll even make sales just sharing your work, and it's a great place to meet other artists. And sometimes people will reach out to you and ask for custom work or invite you to shows, and different opportunities will open up from creating a larger audience. Social media is very broad, whether you're using YouTube, Instagram, all these different platforms. You're having access to a global community, and so it creates a much larger outreach. It also gives you an opportunity to practice your photography and your video making skills that will help boost your work. I've had a few videos do really well, and I was able to make more sales that way and connect with more people. If you're wanting to sell your work online, but you haven't really built a following on any platform, I highly recommend selling your work on Etsy. They have a built-in SEO, which is basically a search engine, so people will find your work without you having to do as much promoting of your work initially. If you have built a following, I recommend sending people to your own website, because then you have more control over your platform and your sales. And while Etsy has a built-in SEO and they have a larger marketplace and access to more people seeing your work, they take a much higher percentage versus your own website, where website transaction fees are much less. It's really up to you. I've worked with both and have found that you have to generate your own traffic to your website. And if you're not ready to do that, it's really important to use something like Etsy to get that traffic going. In order to do any of these things, you have to have an inventory. Early on in my art business, I started my website, and then I didn't have enough pictures. I was making a lot of stuff, but I wasn't taking enough pictures. And so it's really important to maintain a balance of those things. When you make new work, get into the habit of taking photographs, sharing them, documenting them, because in the future you'll be able to use them. In order to have a website, you have to have a well-documented portfolio to present that work. Do a challenge. Do a 30-day challenge. When I started my Instagram, I did a 30-day challenge creating different work, and each day I would post. Something like this will really help boost your following, and it'll help you get into a rhythm of creating consistent content. 30-day challenges are a great way to get out of any creative blockages as well, and it helps just loosen up and share your work more freely. I found it to be incredibly freeing to do a 30-day challenge on social media, and it really helped build my initial following, and it actually helped me make a lot of sales. When I did my first 30-day challenge, I made 30 animal mugs, and I wrote on one piece of paper the animal, and on another piece of paper I wrote a style, and I would pick out of a hat an animal, and I'd pick out of a hat a style, and then I would make the mug and make a video. This really helped me start building a following on social media, and it helped create a lot of sales initially. And it also helped me find my style as an artist and what really worked and what was just fun and playful. So that's something that I found to be incredibly helpful building my platform and my voice as an artist. So if you are planning on doing local events or craft shows or bigger fine art shows, it really depends on what kind of shows you want to apply for as an artist and what kind of shows that your art speaks to. I've been an artist selling my work for over 15 years. I've had a booth as a henna artist, a candle maker, and now as a sculptor and ceramic artist. Each one of those things have different types of shows. As a henna artist, I often look for shows that are street fairs, local events, events that have a lot of fun, easy, quick sales, versus my fine art shows where it's a much more sophisticated setup, and I'm presenting my work in a way that's more gallery oriented versus a street fair. If you're not financially ready to invest in shows that can kind of feel like a gamble because you haven't maybe necessarily sold many things, I recommend doing small shows that don't have much overhead, and oftentimes you won't need as much stuff to present your work. So if you want to try shows that are not as expensive, it's not as big of an investment and a gamble, I highly recommend trying local events, and you can kind of see what works, and then you won't have to have as big of an investment in displays and tents and things like that. To do small local shows, oftentimes all you need is a white canopy. Most of the shows, the finer art shows, require a white canopy tent, 10 by 10. Depending on how you display your work, whether you're a painter or a sculptor or you're doing small crafts, pottery, there's a lot of different ways to display your work. What's important is that it looks really good and cohesive. I recommend having a color scheme that works for you, that helps present and really accentuate your work. It's also really important to have a lot of inventory. I found that when I have just a few things sitting there, they really don't sell as much. I think psychologically people think, oh wait, is that even something people want? But when you have a lot of things displayed, it's going to intrigue people, and they'll have FOMO, the fear of missing out on this thing that's clearly very popular, versus this thing that maybe this person's trying out for the first time. So it's really good to have a lot of something. If you're gonna make a mug, make 30 mugs. If you're gonna make a series of paintings, it's really good to have a series that all kind of work together and to have a cohesive body of work. So now that you have your canopy, you have your display, oftentimes you need walls or tables to display your work. Then you will need to take photographs of your booth. You need really good photographs of your booth setup in order to apply to shows, whether they are local craft shows or you are wanting to do bigger events, fine art shows. You're gonna need really high quality booth photos. So to apply for shows, the three main things you're going to need is a really good booth shot, you need a lot of inventory, and you need really good photographs of your work to share with the jury who will decide if you can even do their show. And generally I find if you're doing local shows, you won't need to have as high quality work, so don't feel super intimidated. You just need to start getting that practice of taking nice photographs, and oftentimes you want the work to be the focal point, and then you'll have a solid backdrop. Business cards. I have given out thousands of business cards. I'm not really sure if I generate a lot of sales from them, but people love them. They like the little pictures I put on them. They always ask for them, and I always put a business card with the work that I sell. It really establishes you as the artist, handing them the piece of work. And if they're buying something for somebody, they're going to want to give that business card with the piece of work. On my business card, I share my social media account, my YouTube QR code, and a direct link to my website. This helps people find me in the future. You're not only making sales, but you're gaining exposure by doing shows. Even if somebody doesn't have the means to buy something at that moment, they will keep you in mind, and they will take your business card, and maybe they're thinking about birthdays and Christmas and different holidays. They'll keep you in mind for future purchases. It's good to always have them on hand. So all of these things collectively start to build over time. Initially, it's not gonna feel like much is happening. You'll get your website up and maybe nobody really goes to it. You'll put an Etsy up and you make 1 or 2 sales. You've been posting on social media and not many likes are happening. It's the consistency over time, and it's the familiarity that people start to have with you, your work and your content, that they will think of you when they are ready to invest in that piece of art that they've been admiring the whole time. So this is my first Talking Heads video. I feel incredibly nervous. I hope that this video was useful for you, entertaining, or you got something out of it. If you like this type of video, let me know in the comments what topics you'd like me to cover in the future, and if there's anything about the art business that you would like me to speak more on. I know this was a lot of information for one video, and I'd love to answer any questions you might have in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell for future videos.